Hello, kidney warriors. James here from Dadvice TV, your online kidney health coach. And this is episode number 334 of Dadvice TV. And we're coming to you live on April 30th, 2025. It's the last day of the month. And I have amazing news for you. The topic we're going to talk about today is probably the number one thing that most of us kidney patients worry about, that we're afraid of, that confuses us, it seems so complex, and that is the kidney diet. The internet is full of all sorts of information and misinformation. A lot of what we find out there is meant for people who are on dialysis. It says, avoid this, avoid that, don't do this, don't eat that. But really, that doesn't apply to every single person. So tonight, we are going to have back Dr. Stephen Rosansky. You guys love him, you know him, talking about the latest research on what is the best diet for kidney disease. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Dr. Rosansky, he is the author of what I 100% agree is the best book out there for kidney patients. It is called Learn the Facts About Kidney Disease. Now, let me tell you, this book is easy to read. It's easy to understand. It is written for patients. You're not going to be confused by a whole bunch of medical jargon and medical confusion. None of that stuff. You don't need a PhD. You don't need a doctor's degree to read and understand this book. And one of the chapters in there talks about diet. And that's what we are going to dive into today. So let me go ahead and bring on my co-host. Please give a great big warm welcome for Dr. Stephen Rosansky. And before you start talking, Doc, there is a QR code right up there on the screen next to your head. If those out there watching will scan that QR code, it will take you right to Amazon, where you could get your own copy of his book, Learn the Facts About Kidney Disease. And you watch the comments. People are going to say, I have the book and I love it. It's great. It's helped me. Here's Beverly, one of our regulars, saying, definitely, it is the best book. I agree with you, Beverly. All right, Doc, I'll let you go ahead and do your intro.
Thank you, James. Thank you. You're making me blush here. Any, anyway, yeah, I am a retired kidney specialist. I still see people once a month at the free clinic with kidney problems. I ran the kidney program here in Columbia, South Carolina. I actually started a dialysis program here in Columbia, South Carolina at the VA. I've taken care of thousands of patients and hundreds of dialysis patients, and I also have done a good bit of research, and my research has been recognized, especially in the area of what affects progression of kidney disease and when to start dialysis. And because of these areas of interest that patients were not really getting well informed about, I decided to bring my research information and make it understandable for you folks to my book that James mentioned. And I was just talking to James. I was approached about making the book into an audio book, and for those of you who like that, it may be coming in the next couple months. Yeah, and tonight we're talking about a topic that I know Jen is great. James has another person who comes on regularly, and I'm going to leave a lot of the details tonight to Jen, and I'll mention her a few times. But I really want to get at, where is the evidence? I don't mean the anecdotes, because most of you are going to hear about another person who wrote a book for patients. They're not a doctor. They've written several books. They've written books about menus and diets and stuff, and they promote very low protein diet, which, as we will discuss tonight, is not only not proven to benefit, but it is harmful. I am strongly advocating for you folks to listen to what the International Organization of Kidney Docs, and I'm part of that organization, recommends regarding that issue of protein. We'll get to that later. So let's start out, James. Let's go right into it. And James loves this because I quiz James and we have fun on this show. And James is pretty darn smart. He usually gets a lot of the answers. So
It's
let's
been a
start
while,
out.
though. I might be a little rusty.
Let's start out with a recent, and this is stuff that's in the doctor magazines, right? The recent publication looked at 31 different studies, okay,
Mm-hmm.
with 177,000 patients. We're
Good
talking about
size.
we're talking about a lot of you are going to see online on this other individual and their book and their recommendations for low protein and supplements when you're on very low protein. Mostly they talk about anecdotes, okay? This is the real stuff. So, what would you think, James, are the ingredients, the main ingredients that your kidney is going to be happy with in your diet? What are the main things, just in general, that you should be eating? It's very simple. What you should or should not be eating in your diet, just in general terms, broad strokes, very simply.
Well, you're going to want to have the right amount of protein, right amount of fat, because that's used for energy and to help keep your muscles going. Am I broad enough or am I too broad?
You're leaving out some key ingredients.
Are you wanting to get down to the level like potassium and stuff like that? That's good for your heart and stuff.
We're going to get to that in a second.
I have not
Okay.
had any time to see any of the latest research. Usually I know these things like, oh, I just read that last week.
Very simple, and I'm sure Jen does a good discussion of this. Plant-based
Oh,
diet. Plant-based diet. We're going to talk a lot about plants tonight, fruits and vegetables, plants. And James was right. A lot of people say, oh, I got kidney disease, stage 2 or 3 or even 4. I can't eat potassium. No, the recommendation is high potassium. And James was right on with that, which is part of the deal with fruits and vegetables, plants. Okay. And the diet that gets the best marks of all the diets out there, and there are dozens of them, the initials are MD.
yes, Mediterranean diet.
Yay!
That's why
Yay,
I plan to
James!
retire in southern Italy and I'm going to live the Mediterranean diet lifestyle.
James, you hit that on the head. Okay. What are the main ingredients in the Mediterranean diet, James?
It's plants.
You
And
got it.
isn't it? Yeah, the fruits and vegetables. And
And
also there's fish.
yeah,
Yeah,
you're good. And
which I'm going to have to get used to. Good oils.
what's
Is it
the good oil?
uh, olive oil?
Okay. Olive oil is generically great. Cook your stuff with olive oil. Don't use those tropical oils. They're not good for you. They have bad fats in them, like coconut oil. Use the olive oil. Now, if you can afford it, you should probably think about getting the extra virgin olive oil. You don't have to, but it may have the most health benefits because you don't have the chemicals in it. We're going to talk
Mhm.
about chemicals in a minute. The other things that you folks should be looking at: fruits, vegetables, lots of grains, lots of whole grains, lots of beans, lots of nuts. And James is right, lots of fish, and we're going to talk about specific kinds of fish, eggs, and even some poultry. Okay? So that's a good start, James. You're doing pretty good.
See, that's close
All
to
right,
my diet. I just kind of go a little heavy on the sweets and the carbs.
we're going to get to that right now. We're going to get to it right now, and maybe I'll change your mind about your diet tonight. We'll see. Okay. Um, what is not good for you, James? You just said it.
Oh no.
And,
It's going to be the sugar on all the processed stuff.
Okay, so let's stop there. There's processed, and then there's ultra processed.
Yeah.
Okay, you folks might have heard of it. They call processed foods and ultra processed foods. So, a processed food is stuff that they add some salt, which is not great, and they may add some water, which is fine, and that's canned stuff. And look, not everybody can afford, and prices are ridiculously high. I get it,
Mhm.
folks. And if you cannot get fresh fruits and vegetables, I'm fine with you getting canned vegetables or frozen fruit or vegetables. I mean, not as good, but good. So don't be dissuaded if you don't have the money to get enough of the fresh fruits and vegetables, because I get it, they could be more expensive than the canned stuff, and the cheeses and yogurt and so forth. But the stuff that's really the poison is the ultra processed foods. And James, what's in the ultra processed foods? And we need to focus on that for a minute, because
I'm
that
going to
is
say
poison.
there's very little of the food in the ultra processed food. It could have
Exactly.
phosphorus additives, chemicals there to extend the shelf life or change flavor, texture. It's the food you really barely can recognize as what it originally was.
You're right on, James. They have these ultra processed foods have tons of sugar. They have the bad fats. They have tons of sodium. And as James said, they have very little nutritional value. They're not giving you the good stuff, the vitamins, the minerals, and the protein that you need. And they have, go look at the stuff that you're buying. If they've got a list of long names of chemicals, that's ultra processed. Many chemicals, and we're just learning more and more that they are probably doing great harm to your health. And and we'll get to the phosphorus in a minute. They have a lot of phosphorus, and when you have advanced CKD, your phosphorus levels start going up quite a bit. And we're going to get to phosphorus in a minute. They also have the bad fats. What's the name of the bad fats again? We call them what kind of fats?
Oh, I'm not sure. Wait. Trans fats.
Yes, you got it. Look at that. James is on it.
I had
The
to reach way
trans
back
fats.
in there.
Trans fats. The trans fats excuse me, increase your bad cholesterol. We've talked a good bit about getting your bad cholesterol to your goal level. Your bad cholesterol, look at your lab work, it's your LDL. That's your bad cholesterol. And you folks that have kidney disease, you folks with GFRs are, let's say, in the 30, 40 range or below, you should be shooting for a bad cholesterol level in the 50 range to 70 range. And you can take lots of different drugs to lower it, and that will help you from getting heart attacks and strokes. It's very important. But these processed foods are going to raise your bad cholesterol and lower your good cholesterol. And then, of course, they have a lot of sodium. And the kinds of things that are really bad for you are what, James? What are the and I get really upset when I see my family going and taking the kids to these various places. What are we talking about, James? Will you
I'm
take your
not.
kids, which all your kids want to get what?
My kids always
Fast
want.
food,
Oh,
fast
yes.
food,
Oh,
fast food, right? The
ultra
fast
processed and
food,
ultra loaded with sodium.
yes. And most of the snacks you're going to eat are going to have that. And stay away from those sugary beverages, no
Oh,
matter what their name is, the Cokes, the Mountain Dews. These are poison. They should have skull and crossbones. I mean, they are poison. They are poison. They will give you diabetes. They are poison for you. Snack foods. I know people like these instant noodles to prepare
oh,
because they're easy, but
the
they're
amount of
junk.
sodium in those is awful. There's nothing in there but salt.
And the commercial baked stuff, all those baked snacks, and even the breakfast cereals. Most of the breakfast cereals have a lot of the sugary stuff in them. And the thing about these ultra processed foods, why are they so popular, James?
They're cheap and they're easy. They're quick.
And,
Yeah.
and what happens? You get this rush. You get this, they're easy to eat, easy to digest, and you don't get the message sent from your stomach to your brain that, hey, you got to stop because we're full, because they just go down, they get digested so quickly. And, there's not
The
enough time for
overeat.
the brain to say, hey, you need to stop. And this leads to overeating and obesity, and they are terrible. So stay away as much as you can. And I know it's easy. Everybody wants, their kids want these snacks and they want all these little packaged foods. Most of the packaged foods, the ready-made meals, you may think, hey, this looks healthy. And a lot of times they're going to say healthy, but they're not. If they've got these ultra processed foods in them, they're not healthy. So let's go into some of the other research, and this is impressive. And so there's really evidence for this Mediterranean diet. What's some of the other evidence? The longest study looking at diet, and this is prospective. What do we mean by prospective, James?
Is that where you're looking back?
That's retrospective. So
Oh,
prospective
that's right.
means I'm going to start this group of people from now. We're going to follow you. And they followed people for 23 years,
Wow.
12,000 people. And they looked at the people that had the highest type of Mediterranean diet foods, whether it's, you know what legumes are, James? What are the
Yep.
legumes? What are those? Things like what?
Um, I don't know what classifies as them. It's not a type of nut, is it?
Yeah, no, these are the beans, the peas,
Yeah. Like the
okay.
stuff that hummus is made out of.
Yep, yep. And soybeans, and they eat a lot of that. They eat low-fat dairy, okay, peanuts. People that were good about eating not much of the lunch meats or the red meat. Big one,
Hmm.
red meat. That's a big one. These people had about a 20% lower risk of getting kidney disease by eating this diet. People that had more of the bad stuff had a 20% higher risk of getting kidney disease. So there's evidence that that Mediterranean diet, the plants and staying away from red meat, there's evidence that it really will help your kidneys. And then there was another very large study out of Singapore. 63,000 people found something similar. People that ate a lot of the red meat had the highest risk of developing kidney problems. They had about a 40% higher risk. This is big. Stay away from that red meat. Try to stay with the Mediterranean type foods. Another study, which is famous, it's called the Nurses' Health Study. They followed 1,600 women for about 11 years, and what they found is, this is one that found that the folks that ate more animal proteins had a greater decline in kidney function over time. It was the animal proteins. So again, emphasizing plant-based proteins. And then the final study that I'll mention is one that came out of the UK. It's fairly recent. It's another prospective, right? Looking at what people are doing and following them. And they found about 5,000 people, and they also found great benefit of the plant-based diet. And they found that these folks have a much lower risk of getting the bad diseases like heart disease and kidney disease and even cancer. So these diets have a significant impact on your likelihood of dying. So, um, and the people that ate mostly the plant-based diet had less diabetes, less cancer, less heart disease, and less kidney disease, and about a 30% lower risk of dying versus people with the unhealthy diet. This is serious stuff, folks.
Hmm.
So you want to stay away from the refined grains. This is also processed. It's like the white bread, the white rice, the white pizza dough, the white pastas. Um, like I said, pastries, breakfast cereals, bagels, and crackers, and all of those sugary beverages. You want to try to get grains if you're going to eat either pasta or breads. Try to get whole grains in the breads. Why not? I mean, your kids will like it. And quinoa,
Oh yeah.
and lots of nuts. So, and again, I'm going to let Jen give you the specifics because I know she's on your show a lot and can give your viewers specific food groups and uh, diets to recommend.
Well, and all these
Um,
things you've been mentioning are all good sources of fiber, which is also shown to be extremely important to good health. And when you look at the Mediterranean region, one of the things I liked about it that helped my wife and I decide this is where we want to retire is the longevity of the people. Not only are they healthier, but they're healthier longer. They're doing stuff at ages that I was shocked. It's like, wow, there's so much walking and stairs and stuff. And it's that diet and lifestyle just really giving you all those benefits.
yeah, we're going to get to fiber. I'm glad you mentioned it. Let's move to protein for a minute. How much protein do we eat as in Western societies, in the richer societies?
Wasn't it close to 100 grams a day?
Yeah, we eat roughly 100 to 120 to 130 grams of protein a day. Now, the largest study, and again, tonight we're talking about where's the evidence. The largest study that examined the impact of protein restriction. There's been a lot of talk that, you know, because of theories about how kidney disease develops, that we should look at protein restriction. This very large, well done study looked at people on low protein, which in this case is about half of what the usual was. And the usual is about 1.2 to 1.3 grams per kilo. Uh, and they put them on about half of that, zero point 0.6. And there was no difference between the people on the low protein diet versus what we normally eat. But, and this is key, and this is why the current recommendation is around zero point 0.8 grams or 0.8 grams per kilo or 0.4 grams per pound, because people that went below 0.6 grams per kilo, which would be roughly 0.3 grams per pound, which would be roughly for a 200-pound person, 60 grams. If you go below that 60 grams for someone around 200 pounds, you're going to start getting muscle wasting and increase in your mortality. Very low protein can kill, okay? And that's why the International Kidney Organization said, hey, we don't want you to take less than 0.8 grams per kilo, which in pounds is around 0.4. So if you're 200 pounds, 0.4 is 80-gram protein. All right, so you give you some kind of ballpark. In the International Kidney Doctor Organization, they recommend that same amount of protein, whether you have stage 3, 4, or 5, which is really the only real kidney disease. As we've discussed on the show, stage 1 and 2 is probably not really kidney disease. That's for another time. Whether you're vegetarian or non-vegetarian, 0.8 grams per kilo of protein. And I'm going to leave it to Jen, okay, to talk to you about the various types of veggies and fruits and what their proteins are, because you want to be sure to have a balanced vegetarian diet so that you get what, James? What are you looking for that the body doesn't make?
Oh, I don't know.
What are the building blocks of protein?
I used to know this.
Amino acids.
Well, yes,
Amino
I
acids.
should have remembered that because that scammer out there is promoting them.
Okay. If you are eating very low protein, you have to have these essential amino acids in another form, and you have to, and this guy who promotes the very low protein sells you these essential amino acids they call keto analogs. But a good dietitian like Jen could tell you folks that are eating plant-based diet, vegan, vegetarian, or what have you, to make sure you're getting the right amount of protein in your fruits and vegetables. Now, and James already said this. James, you already beat me. So, for why are plant-based diet, like the Mediterranean diet, why are they good for your kidneys? You just said
Is
they're
is it
high
because
in what?
they're high in
High in.
fiber?
Okay, let's get into the fiber story, right? And the deal is, if you're getting your protein from animal protein, much less fiber
Mm-hmm.
than in plant proteins. And the fiber are associated, if you eat more fiber, that also is connected to a reduced risk of kidney problems. And it may be such that the fiber, and this is a theory, I don't know, just one of the theories, it may help slow progression because it has something to do with uremic toxins. But either way, there's other benefits besides decreasing kidney problems. What are the other benefits of fiber?
I'm sorry, I was chatting.
All right, no problem. What are the other benefits of fiber besides helping your kidneys?
So it helps the good bacteria in your gut multiply. It helps you move things through. It can lower blood sugar. Um, I just know it's good for you. Fiber is your friend, but not too much too fast.
It will help your folks out there that are constipated, which I know is a massive problem for a lot of people. Lots of fiber will help that. Lots of fiber. And by the way, the other thing that will help that is caffeine. That's just not in
I like
tonight's
coffee.
discussion. Yeah, yeah. Lots of coffee and lots of fiber for the constipation. But as James said, fiber helps with your glucose issues, your sugar issues. It helps with your lipid issues, with your bad cholesterol. It helps you with your weight. So fiber is great. Uh, so the other big benefit of plant-based diet, Mediterranean diet is what we're mostly talking about tonight, is less albuminuria. What do I mean by albuminuria, James?
That is protein in your urine.
Yes. Albumin is the protein that the kidney organizations are recommending that your doctor, anyone who has been told you've got a kidney problem, you've got CKD, chronic kidney disease of any level, you should have your urine protein measured by what important test that we've talked about on your show, James?
It is the urine protein. Oh, darn it! It's the ratio. Uh, let's see. Somebody out there, type it into the chat. We got to give them a second because people are really good at guessing. It's three letters and it's a ratio. Oh, see, I'm waiting for someone to type it. Someone's gonna type it. And he said there's like a 20-second delay, Doc, between what we say and what everyone hears, just because of all the internet travel and stuff. So it should be coming through right now. It is your urine creatinine ratio. Darn it.
You're right.
Creatinine ratio.
I
Yeah.
just said it.
Yeah.
albumin to
Albumin creatinine ratio,
creatinine ratio in the
ACR.
urine. The albumin creatinine, that's right, ACR. Excellent. Everybody should ask their doctor, if they haven't already done it, to check your albumin creatinine ratio in your urine, because that is an important marker of how serious your kidney problem is.
And
And
Paula was the first one to guess it correct. Congratulations, Paula.
and yeah, as we said, the Mediterranean diet may also decrease that albuminuria, the albumin to creatinine ratio, and that together with the things that we've discussed on other shows about things that decrease the protein in the urine, which is an important factor to help you from having progressive kidney disease. Okay, so another big deal. And the Mediterranean diet is going to help your blood pressure, it's going to help your diabetes control, and it's going to also help something called acidosis. I don't know if have you heard of that, James?
I've heard the term acidosis.
Okay.
I've heard
So,
ketoacidosis.
yeah, okay. So, with progressive kidney disease, there is and the kidneys are very important to get rid of acid. Make it simple, right? And with progressive kidney disease, there's more of a problem with that. And it turns out that plant-based proteins, the animal proteins, first of all, have increase in the load of acid that your kidneys are going to deal with. And there's some theory that that may too much work for your kidneys. It may hurt them. And plants have something called alkali, which is the opposite of acid. So it can balance out the bad acid thing. And the Mediterranean diet with plants and the other things we've talked about gives the kidney the least amount of acid. And you can think about less stress on the kidney. And another very important thing, and I'm going to actually use a
And while you're
prompt
getting
here.
that ready, I want to answer one quick question for
Go
Stacy.
ahead.
Stacy said she's confused. Is a plant-based diet the same as a Mediterranean diet? Hey, Stacy, the Mediterranean diet is a plant-based diet because it's plants first. There are lots of different plant-based diets. Mediterranean diet is one of them, and I like it because of all the data and the longevity and the positive lifestyle, the people who live it, and it's delicious. There's lots of variety and flavor.
Right. And look, there are vegans and vegetarians that, just eating plants and fruits and vegetables. Um, but the Mediterranean diet includes fishes and some poultry, and so it's not strictly plant based. And of course fruits and nuts and so forth, and the olive oil in the cooking, which is an important ingredient in the whole business. So I don't know if you could see this.
That
Oh, you
fish
can.
oil, is that omega-6, omega-3?
Okay. Fish oil is the one thing that yours truly tries to take. And fish oil has lots of omega 3. Omega 3 is clearly, this is a fatty acid. It's a good fat. So there are good fats. Not all fats are bad. The saturated fats, the trans fats are bad. Are bad. Um, and fish oil has lots of omega 3. And why do I think omega 3 is something to consider for you folks to take? You want to give me a couple of things, if you know of any, that are benefits of taking omega 3? Theoretical. I mean, all of this is theoretical, but there's some pretty darn good evidence of the things that this omega 3 will get. Now, you don't have to take it in the fish oil pill. If you can get salmon, has lots of omega 3, and I eat
Mhm.
salmon at least once a week.
I take it in a
Trout,
pill, but I take one that doesn't give you the fish burps, as it's known as. It's
This, I mean, I
easier to
don't know. This one,
swallow and
I personally have no problem with the soft gels. I mean, they're cheap and they work. I mean, and I eat a lot of fish too: mackerel, trout, salmon, and lots of seeds, walnuts. These are, there are other things in the Mediterranean diet that have the omega-3. What is the omega-3? Do you know what some of the benefits are?
so people are saying heart and brain that it is.
Good, good. Okay. I'm going to give you a list, and the list is impressive. There's been evidence that omega-3 will improve your insulin sensitivity, help
Hmm.
the diabetics, help your glucose problems, decrease your risk of getting diabetes because it helps your glucose problems. It may help your bones. As you get older, especially in females more than men, your bones get thin. It's called osteoporosis. It can improve that, your bone density. It can raise your good cholesterol. It can lower triglycerides, which are, one of the fats. And as James said, it may increase your brain function, which is pretty important as we get older. And it's been shown to decrease your, improve your mental health, decrease depression. I mean, um, it may decrease inflammation and may help with arthritis. It can help with dry eyes. It just goes on. It may even help acne. And this, these omega-3s may decrease your risk of getting obese. And as it turns out, folks, that obesity per se is a factor that increases your risk of getting CKD, independent of whether you have diabetes or high blood pressure. And of course, those things also go along with being overweight. But independent of that, it can increase your CKD risk. Now, we're going to dig in a little bit more to the very low protein diets. Okay. Here's big problems with those diets. A lot of people, first of all, there's very, very, very little evidence that they really are beneficial. There is evidence in that large randomized controlled study that they can be harmful, very low protein diet. Very low protein diet, if you're 200 pounds, you'd be looking at 30 grams instead of what we're normally eating, 120 grams. That's like 1/4 of the protein that your friends and neighbors are eating. It is unpalatable. It is unnecessary. It can be dangerous because, like we've discussed it on other shows, you can lose muscle mass because you're not getting enough protein, and you've got to take those nasty pills to get the supplements for the essential amino acids. And one of my big concerns, besides the possible danger, is a lot of people are going to get frustrated. Hey, you got to go on a very low protein diet. Nonsense.
Mm.
People are told, hey, follow this diet, take my supplement. They're going to just give up and not just eat intelligently. Try to avoid the ultra processed. Try to eat as much fruits and vegetables as you can afford. And try to use the olive oil. Eat your nuts and stuff like that. Let's touch on phosphorus, as James said earlier. I think you might have mentioned it.
Yep.
Okay. What do
We
you know
talked about
about
it as
phosphorus?
as well. There's two main types. There's um, the chemical additives, and there's the natural phosphorus. Your body absorbs less of the natural. When you eat the chemicals, you absorb almost all of it. Phosphorus is the number one mineral in your body. It's key to your bones. There's a relationship between phosphorus and calcium. Um, and it's something that's very common for kidney patients with very late stage kidney disease, like dialysis, to manage without, you know, help. It's kind of a
Right.
summary.
Okay. Um, so, what Can you guys hear? I got a tree frog in my office here.
I hear a little ticking, but it's not bad.
It's a tree frog.
Oh, and now okay, hold on. Dr. Rowe paused. We'll give him a second.
I
There he's
froze.
back.
Okay.
Yeah. Your tree frog froze you.
uh, so as James mentioned,
Dr. Rowe froze again.
get yeah. Well, I think
You're
we're both froze.
freezing.
I spent a lot of my yeah.
Okay, there you
Okay.
are.
I mean, I think the sound is coming through though, right?
It paused. So we were just
Something.
after you were getting ready to speak, right after I said the tree frog froze you.
Okay, well, let me know if the sound freezes again. But anyway, yeah, I spent a lot of my career telling patients with dialysis patients especially, because as you have a decrease in your kidney function, the kidney's ability to get rid of phosphorus goes down. The kidney is the main organ to help get rid of phosphorus. And we're not going to get into detail tonight, but there is a hormone, a lot of you with advanced kidney disease may have had it measured, called parathyroid hormone. That's the
PTH.
hormone that's the PTH is the hormone that goes up in people as they get progressive declines in their kidney function. What the gland is doing is increasing that hormone to help get rid of the phosphorus. And as James said, besides your normal mechanisms, if you stay away from the ultra processed foods, especially, and stay away from the red meats, you're going to have less of that nasty phosphorus that's going to be absorbed easily, and you're going to have more of the plant-based phosphorus that's not going to go up as quickly. And a lot of phosphorus can lead to calcifications of blood vessels, which can affect your heart and your kidneys. So again, it's the ultra processed foods that are one of the big culprits in getting your phosphorus up. What about the fake meats, James? What do you think of those?
First of all, my response is they are all loaded with sodium, far too much sodium. So I avoid them. I had high hopes that, wow, I could get these plant grown fake meats and it would be better. But when I look at the box, I'm just like, well, it's just chemicals and tons of sodium. Some of these burger patties can have almost a day's worth of sodium by the time I make one sandwich with them.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree with you, James. I was pretty excited about it. I mean, it's got benefits for the environment, for the climate, and so forth. But when you dig in, they're kind of in the category of ultra processed because there's lots of those chemicals in the ultra processed foods. And I think in the future we're going to learn more about what some of those chemicals are doing, which I can't imagine are good things.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm not. I think if you know, I honestly haven't looked. I mean, I've eaten soy burgers, but I guess they also probably have similar kinds of stuff. So yeah, try to stay with fish, fruits and vegetables, nuts, olive oil, as much as you can, and I think your kidneys will be much happier, and of course you will too.
I'll tell you when the like Beyond meats came out,
Yeah, yeah.
I was so excited. I invested heavily in them, with the stocks. And then I ate one of them without even looking at the package. I was like, it didn't have that right taste and texture for me. I tried the Impossible and found out it was even worse. And then I started looking at, well, what's in here? Because I'm always sensitive to sodium for my blood pressure. And it was just outrageous. Like, I can't eat this.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, I have not been that sophisticated about it. Similarly, it was an education. It was
Hmm.
education for both of us. So we'll dig into some of the questions, James.
Oh, let me
Um,
tell you, Doc, we got a lot of
okay,
questions. We got a
okay.
great audience tonight. Um, Why don't you just start at the top and
Okay,
work
I'll do
down?
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
that
work.
way,
You can work from the
because
bottom. Yeah.
the font is a bit smaller on the screen, so it'll be easier for you to see them in there. And just when you say it out loud, I'll find it and bring it up here.
Pam says she's got proteinuria, protein in the urine, doesn't eat animal protein anymore. Do I still leak protein due to the plant protein I eat? And she's on a 2.5 of lisinopril. So, Pam, let's break down your question. The first thing is you should have your doctor measure your albumin creatinine ratio in the urine, because that is how we're going to tell you whether you got a serious urine protein issue or not. And if you've got uh, in the range of, depending on whether you're in the US or not in the US, if you've got that ratio over 2 or 300 in the US or over 20 or 30 in Europe and abroad, you've got significant protein. If indeed that is the case, or for anyone else that has a level of albumin creatinine over 200 or over 20, respectively, for the US or outside the US, not only should you be on lisinopril, and what is lisinopril, James? What kind of drug?
That is, it's either an ACE or an ARB. I can't remember which one's a Pril.
Pril is an ACE.
An ACE.
ACEs, that's a blood pressure med, ends in pril, those are ACEs. The ones that end in tan are the ARBs. These are the first line to decrease the protein in the urine and to slow decline of kidney function. And they should be used at their maximum dose. 2.5 is nowhere near the maximum dose. So, Pam, you got homework. You got to get the albumin and the creatinine, and if indeed it's significant, right, you should probably be at a minimum on the maximum dose of that lisinopril that you can tolerate.
Now, before you
And
finish her
yeah,
question,
yeah,
how
yeah.
does a person get the albumin creatinine ratio test? Is that, and I'm playing the regular person who doesn't know, is that just part of my regular blood test?
Urine test, urine test.
There
So
we go.
when you go and you go for your exam, you're going to ask to put some urine in a little screw cap container, and a lot of places will put a dipstick in it, which is fine. It's a good screen. At a minimum, you should have that done, at a minimum. And then they send it to the lab, just like they measure the creatinine and the albumin in your blood, they'll measure it in the urine. So it's the urine, albumin, and the creatinine. And Pam, there's no relationship, no direct relationship between protein that you eat and protein in your urine. So, and people confuse this. They say, oh, I've got a lot of protein in the urine, I'll just decrease the protein in my diet. Wrong, wrong, absolutely wrong. You don't want to do that. And what we're saying is that protein in the urine connects to progression of kidney disease. What we're also saying is eating plant-based diets can help protect your kidneys. There's no direct relationship between the protein, whether it's in a plant or a fruit or from a meat, and how much protein is there and what's going out in your urine. They're not related, and I get that's very confusing to a lot of people. Okay. Now, Kathy, heart failure affects kidneys. Um, Limited on confused GFR 79, protein in the urine, how to get rid of my protein. So, Kathy, the first thing to address is the GFR of 79. What do you have to say, James, about a GFR of 79?
Well, first of all, it's extremely high. And that falls in that area where it may not really be kidney disease because you got to look for other symptoms. She says she does have protein in her urine. I'm also curious what her age is.
Exactly. James is right on, Kathy, because if you are, let's say, in your 70s, that number is a normal number on your GFR. On the other hand, the protein in the urine is not normal. And depending upon, again, the albumin to creatinine ratio that you should have your GP or your kidney doctor measure, that will tell you how much protein in the urine and that what you need to do to help decrease that, which in turn will help slow decline of kidney disease, uh, slow decline of kidney function. So, and that is, Kathy, the issue is if it's minimal amount of protein in the urine, you're probably not needing to worry. But if it's significant, like I said earlier, that ratio is over 200 in the US or over 20 in Europe, then you need to look at my Dadvice talks on how to decrease the protein in the urine. Okay. All right, Mark, thoughts on peptides for damaged kidneys. GFR went from 50 to 25. Blood
35.
sugar, huh? 20, 35
Yep.
in 2 years. All right. Well, Mark, I, uh, I'm not sure about what you're talking about, peptide. There is no such thing. Please do not fall for the woo-woo, the nonsense, the 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 kidney cleanse and all this BS.
Flush,
You know,
cures, restore.
please, peptides. Please stay away from any supplements or peptides. They're not going to do you anything other than make a big hole in your pocketbook. And again, if your kidney function declines significantly in 2 years, you may be one of these folks that has significant protein in the urine. And if so, you really need to listen to the talks that I've done about how to decrease it, and we've gone into great detail. Um, and there are other things, if you're not one of these folks with a good bit of protein in the urine, that can cause your kidney function to go to that level. But again, you would want to confirm those numbers because sometimes you repeat your GFRs and one day it could be 50 and the next day it could be 40. So I would have repeated numbers and talk to you, and you should see a kidney doc because if it's gone that quickly, really 50 to 35, to consider all the various things that a kidney doc can address that could have led to that decline. Okay. Um, and no, Katie, don't worry about oxalates. We used to think that you got to stay away from plants that have oxalates, but that's not really the problem with stones. She may be addressing the stone issue. And as a
Yeah.
matter of fact, Mediterranean diet and drinking a lot of fluids is probably a good thing for folks who have kidney stones. Now, free Freya,
Freya. Yep.
okay, plant versus animal protein and fungi protein, I have to admit, ignorance. Although mushrooms are fine, and they're also, I mean, I think that fungi and mushrooms have all kinds of potential. I'm not educated about it. I have listened to a lot of lectures about it. I think the future may well be in those kinds of plants. But they're plants and they're good and they're fine. Nothing magic about them. Okay. Um, so I'm good with any fruits and vegetables, shiitake, all these mushrooms are good. They're fine. Yep. Um, Beverly tried plant-based, not satisfying. She loves meat, tired of being diabetic and have kidney disease. Beverly, we get it. And, it is frustrating. And you don't have to eat just plants. If you can move on to the Mediterranean diet, try to eat fish. I don't know if you like fish. Use good bit of olive oil. Eat nuts, and find the plants, the fruits and vegetables that you enjoy, and get rid of the red meat. if you can possibly do that. And stick with the poultry and stick with fish. As we've said, the red meat may be the biggest culprit. um, and Kathy's talking about it is no specific foods that are going to specifically say, hey, kidneys, how do you feel? Are you happy? No. Generally speaking, and this is again, lots of research and lots of patients that is showing a relationship between this kind of diet and making your kidneys happy. It's not like you got to eat any specific food. Uh, and somebody has nuts. All of these are part of the diet. Nothing, you don't have to say this particular plant or this particular nut or this particular fungi. No, nothing like that. Make it simple, folks. Think about when you're preparing your meals or like when you're having your breakfast. Eat bran. Eat your bran. Eat raisin bran. Bran is good for you. Try to stay away from those sugary cereals, you know. Try to
The only
stay
problem
away
with
from.
Raisin Bran is, have you seen how much sugar is in it now?
Is that right?
They're loading it up with so much.
I didn't look at. That's a good point, James.
Yeah,
Okay, I
it
didn't know
used to
that.
be low in sugar. Now
Really?
there's so much in most of it. You gotta be careful. Look at the box and look how much sugar is in there.
But okay. But my guess is, and I'm not. Again, Jen would be a good one to ask. My guess is that if you look at the average cereal that the kids want to eat, the pops, the things that are that are sugar coated. I mean, come on. My guess is they're relatively better. Raisin
Yeah,
bran. I mean, if
they
you can eat.
definitely, and they're loaded with fiber. So you got
Yeah,
that right
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bran is good if you can eat straight bran. I mean, a lot of people are not going to eat straight bran, so that's okay. And having something with a little bit of sugar is okay as long as you're getting the benefit of the bran. Okay. Um, Someone's asking fasting. Um, I think we're getting close to the hour,
Yeah, got
but
about 2 minutes left.
okay, fasting is nothing special for your kidneys. I personally, I'm not an advocate. There's some evidence that it may have longevity benefits, but I can't tell you. Statins are fine. Statins do not harm your kidneys. Push those statins. Get your LDLs down to less than 70 and even less than 50 if your kidney is advanced. Your kidney disease is advanced. Um, Chicken and pork, probably lean as you can get it. I would say chicken. I would say chicken over pork because that's what the research says. The red meat is try to you can eat red meat once in a while, but try to have it as a special event. Um,
And Jen always says 3 ounces, which is about a palm size when you go with a serving of meat.
Lipitor, diazide are fine. Lipitor is certainly fine. It's a lipid drug. Diazide has something that raises potassium, so that's a little. It doesn't hurt your kidneys, and it may benefit the kidneys. Okay, it's one of those aldosterone antagonists that like spironolactone, but it has one thing that can raise your potassium, and okay. Yeah, no, oxalate does not destroy your kidneys. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's Patrick. Uh,
Yep.
I don't know.
We got time for one last question.
Uh, no, grains are great for diabetes. Grains. I don't know. You may be talking about processed stuff like processed wheat, like white bread, like white dough, like pizza. But grains in general and fiber in general are good for your glucose levels.
All right, Doc, we are at the top of the hour. I'm going to mention your book one more time. For those of you can see, Dr. Rosansky, easy to understand, a wealth of information. And his book, if you do not have a copy of it or haven't read it yet, Learn the Facts About Kidney Disease, is loaded with lots of great science based, accurate information to help you better understand kidney disease and what you need to focus on. It helps you around the diet. It helps you understand why the EGFR fluctuates whenever you go there. It's not always the same exact number. Why protein in your urine is something you need to stay on top of. It's a fantastic book. And Dr. Rosansky is here every single month. Almost said week. Every single month. You know, in the beginning, did we do it weekly for a while? I think we might have.
We
But he's
tried,
here.
yeah.
You're here. That ends up being a lot of time.
That's a lot of
You've
time. Yeah,
been
once a
here
month is good.
helping with the information. And Jen, who Dr. Rosansky has mentioned, is here the first Tuesday of every month. That she's here just for 30 minutes, but she does an Ask Me Anything. So you guys can jump on and ask her, hey, what's a great source of plant protein? What about this? What about that? I don't like eating this. What are some great alternatives? She also can point everyone towards great recipes. She is a huge, huge supporter of the Mediterranean diet, which we've heard all tonight how great that is. All right, everybody, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you guys. Please share the video, which helps it get recommended, which helps more kidney patients out there that are worried about what to eat, what to do, helps them find a great source of information to empower them to take control as much as they can of their illness and be part of the treatment strategy moving forward, not just sitting there thinking, okay, I'm taking pills. Am I doing all I can? All right, everybody, thank you so much. And I'll see you all next week in the next video. Bye, everyone.